My wife would never do that. Courtesy the beta male provider. You hear this a lot when we're talking about red pill concepts, and with MGTOW, some guy that's married or he's not awake to red pill, he'll always say something along those lines like, my wife would never do that, my girl would never do that, I have the unicorn, I have the outlier. But when it comes to men and women, yes, you can have a relationship, you can have a girlfriend or a wife, but it's not like an ownership, right? It's a title. It's just words out of your mouth that you say, oh, like my wife, my girlfriend. It's fluff. It doesn't have any real binding essence to it. Just because you can get a legal contract signed, or you can go through the church, humans are still humans. So the whole my wife would never do that. It's of course she would do that, because as we've discussed before on this channel and with other channels, a lot of it is what you're providing. It's your resources. So, like, would that even be your wife if you were homeless, had you met? If you didn't have some, like, you had to provide something, right? You had to have some level of finances or attraction, something. There has to be a trade-off there. So the notion that your wife would never do that, maybe she hasn't in the course of your relationship, but to say that she would never do that, you don't really know how the circumstance could change, because the same guy that says my wife would never do that, we've seen this happen before too, where the economy crashes or he loses his job and suddenly his wife does that. So you got to be careful with what you're getting yourself into when it comes to women. It's not to say that completely rule them out of your life, but definitely don't get the government involved. Don't sign any legal contracts. Be careful of what you're getting yourself into. Understand yourself. Do the proper level of self-reflection and introspection to see where you stand in the game. Understand what you actually provide in that trade-off. Understand what your finances are, or your level of sexual attraction to a particular woman, and understand what that means in your leverage with that, because it's all circumstantial, it's all fluid. Even if you do get married, it's just like, now that you've signed that legal contract, you think it's like this secure thing. It's like, no, it's not an ownership, right? It's not a leash. Like, it's not like a dog collar. She can still, like, have sex with whoever she wants, or divorce, and then now you're paying a bunch of money, losing your assets. So the whole my wife would never do that is pretty crazy to say. Like, even selling tie-dye here in San Diego for this nonprofit, like today I'm selling at the San Diego Zoo, and a lot of the stuff that I sell, like sometimes I'll sell the tie-dye dresses, the short sleeves, the long sleeves of hoodies, tank tops, and even just the other day, I was talking to a woman that was from out of town, and she was saying how she wishes her husband was more open-minded like me, and she, given all those compliments and everything. I meet women all the time from all over the world, and sometimes they're here by themselves or with their husband, but he's like out at the beach while she's at the stand or whatever, and she'll make comments or give me her number, or we'll meet afterwards, and you find out later that she has a boyfriend or a husband, and it's just like, it doesn't motivate me to have my own. Like, why would I want a wife or a girlfriend knowing that like a woman could do that to me? So I would just take caution on whatever I'm doing. And it's funny because with this job, selling this tie-dye, it's a very social job. I'm in the like the busiest spots of San Diego, the beaches and the zoo and downtown, and so I just get to chill and just like sell a bunch of cool looking clothes. And like I was saying too, with like these dresses are really hot items for women. Got a lot of tie-dye colored dresses and everything. But it's just funny how like a woman will come here and not even care that like her husband's standing right there, or has a boyfriend back home, a husband back home. They're always looking for a different option, or a better option, or greener pastures. It's always in the back of their mind, like the could've, should've, would've. So they'll make comments here and there. I'll have a customer, and she'll say, oh, let me go get my wallet, I don't have my wallet on me. She brings the guy, and he pulls out his wallet and pays. Sometimes she'll make jokes about that too, just like oh, well, I don't have any money, but my husband will get it, and she like laughs, like the evil laughter, like, but it just, like, you just see the truth of it, and then like the guy comes up and the guy pays, And people ask me all the time, like, you're just a good-looking guy or whatever. Like, why don't you have a girlfriend? That's one of those questions too. Like the why don't you have a girlfriend? It's such a loaded question, and it's such a weird question, because it's like, one, should I have a girlfriend? Like, oh, you're a good-looking guy, you're handsome, you're well-spoken. Like, why don't you have a girlfriend? It's like, is that the point? Is that the goal? How do you know, like, at where I'm at in my life at 26? How do you know that I'm not more focused on like money, or like my own career, or like residual income later in the future, or providing content in some way, like doing a YouTube channel? Like, how do you know I don't have like a focus in other areas? Like, what is that? Question's always weird. I get that all the time. Like, why don't you have a girlfriend? Even this one lady the other day, she's in her 80s, and she asked me this all the time. She's like, oh, you're so handsome, you're such a great guy, like, why don't you have a girlfriend? I'm like, well, why do I need a girlfriend? Like, why can't I just be single? Like, what it's like asking someone, like, why do you have a girlfriend, or why do you have a wife, why do you have? It's just like, people just, they're in the place that they're in. I always thought that was a weird question, because like the default position is to not have one. So people think like, oh, well, like, you look the way you do, and you're well spoken, and you're this, and you're just like, they think you're like this like guy that should have one. And you want to like tell these people, it's like, is she gonna even be faithful to me? Is it gonna work? Like, what if another guy's girlfriend or another guy's wife can come to San Diego, and she doesn't care? How do I know that that's not gonna happen to me if I just like have a girlfriend or a wife? Like, why is that the point right now, just to have one? I always found that to be a very weird question. Like, to just ask someone, oh, why don't you have a girlfriend? It's like, so many layers to that question. Like, how do you know that that's what they're trying to do? How do you know that they haven't had past experiences which lead them to a certain point? How do you know they haven't developed their opinion on that to a certain place that just leads them to a point in their life where they don't have one? I mean, it's just like, there's so much going on. It's just kind of a weird question. Like, what answer are you expecting? Well, I don't have one. It's like, oh, let's see. They're not faithful. Hypergamy. Monkey branching. I mean, it's just like, do you want like the real answer, or do you want like the, I don't know, some politically correct version of what you're expecting from me? So, I mean, I just have more fun. Like I was saying with the tie-dye, with like the dresses and stuff. Like, if a woman's gonna come here to San Diego, and she'll be like, oh, these are like, are really pretty dresses, really pretty tops. If she's just gonna like pay money for that, why don't I just keep working this job and like make money that way? Like, why would I need a girlfriend if a girl will just like pay me money for like a tie-dye dress or a tie-dye shirt? Like, why would I just need like someone like at my house like 24/7 to go to sleep and she's there, wake up and she's there? Like, why don't I just like make money for now? Why don't I get myself to like a brighter place? Because that's the thing too. It's like, at 26, what if she meets a guy that's like 36, and he's like, hey, I got like a private jet, like, come travel with me. And then she's like, oh, well, that guy's offering more. So like the girl my age who's 26, like, she's still in her 20s, so she uses her hypergamy to just go with that guy. So I'm over here just like putting all my energy into her, into like whatever we think the relationship is. But then this other guy offers something and bounces in 2 seconds, and she doesn't even look back, doesn't care. So instead of just like trying to compete with that guy and to keep her happy, why don't I just work on myself? And why don't I just get myself to that place where I could be that at 36, right? So instead of putting the focus on her now at 26, I could just focus on myself, and then I could be 36 to a point where the rest of my life is set up very nicely. So just like the whole, like, my wife would never do that. It just, I think people get into that mindset too, where they have like a idea of what it means. Like, maybe they get married in the church, and so they have this idea that like, oh, their wife, she has like a Bible verse on her Instagram bio, or she talks about like, it's like, oh, like John 3:16, and so he thinks like, oh wow, I got like a good Christian girl, or like whatever religion he is. And so that heightens his like, oh, well, like, I have the one that wouldn't do that. Like, he thinks there's, like, when it comes to female nature, he thinks there's a difference between different religions and occupations, race. Like, none of that matters. It's all, I mean, people are going to be what they're going to be in their ideologies or their politics or whatever, but it's just like, female is female. That's another thing too, when we look at the differences, whether it's like Muslim women or Christian women or Jewish women or like black women, white women, rich women, poor women, like Democrats, Republicans. Uh, we think there's like this stereotype that kind of like they all fall to like a certain mold, and like we can like predict certain things based on like their paradigm, but like at the end of the day they're just women. So like even if you take like a super liberal Democrat woman and like a super conservative Republican woman, read between the lines of that, they're really not that different. It's just, you know, difference in like certain viewpoints on topics regarding politics, but like when it comes to their movements and their actions and how they interact with men, it's all pretty much the same. You just got to get good at reading between the lines of that. Like stop with the race and the religion and the politics and the stuff that just like it's more confusion and more division and just keeps us like fighting each other, but it's just not getting to the truth of what anything actually is. So, I mean, these people, like my wife would never do that. It's like she would do that. She definitely would do that, man. And then it's like, or like you mentioned that, and he gets all offended. He goes, "Hey, man, that's my wife you're talking about." It's like, yes, and she's a very great woman. We all know, but it's just funny because, like I said, I think people they attribute what like guys will attribute like what they think they were getting themselves into. Like I said, like he gets married in the church, so obviously this is a good woman, or like she comes from a traditional conservative family, a tradcon, right? So she's gonna be this nice conservative girl, but it's just like I mean, you know, she like politically conservative maybe, but like when it comes to her sex life, is she that conservative? Like, how do you know that translates, you know? Or like, who's to say, like, because the girl's like super liberal, like Democrat or something, like, oh, she's probably crazy, but like, who's to say she's not less wild than what you're perceiving, you know? It's just like it's all the same. Like, it's not like if people do that, they get that stereotypical view in their head of what they can expect. Like, oh, this woman is Christian, therefore I can expect this. She's a Republican, so I can expect this. She's a Democrat, so I can expect this. Or like just like she works this job, like, oh, she went to school and she's a nurse, she's a lawyer. She's like, wow, like that's a hardworking, dedicated woman. I know I'm getting high value. I mean, if she could go to school and become a lawyer or a doctor or a nurse, like that is a high quality woman. So, but it just like again, it's just like, yeah, it's a good accomplishment, but biologically there's still a difference between testosterone and estrogen, a penis and a vagina, right? Like there's like male and female, like that's just universal. It has nothing to do with like the country or the religion, the culture, the race, the job, politics. It's all the same. So when guys say this stuff, like my wife would never do that, it just, maybe you just don't have the circumstance to have seen that she would do that. So you gotta really take caution with dealing with women, because if the circumstance arises, your wife would definitely do that.